Okay. Whenever you're ready. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Idiot's Guide to Horror.
Counteracting the toxic culture surrounding horror fandom and breaking down your favorite horror movies. With you, as always, your hosts, Kara Linda Popovich.
And Christopher Ash Haberman. So everybody turn off the lights, grab your giant travel mug bongs, and let's get ready to dissect The Cabin in the Woods. Oh.
2012.
I didn't write down who directed it.
Drew Goddard, which I actually just remembered off the top of my head.
We're all very proud.
Thank you. I appreciate that. For those of you watching on YouTube, since our YouTube channel is now live, you can see that there's been a bit of a venue change and a microphone change today. I'm just trying a whole bunch of new shit.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you at home listening just with your ears, I'm trying a bunch of new shit. You just have to believe me.
Or you can just watch it on YouTube.
You can. It's up to you. We're covering The Cabin in the Woods this week. It's the last of our summer series before we move on to another event in the timeline of how years go.
Mm-hmm. Christmas.
Yeah, we're ready to skip that thing that we both love very much.
I went to 2 Christmas stores this weekend. By this weekend, I mean not this weekend, because I'm very confused on what day every day is because I've been off work all week. 2 Christmas
has been on
stores.
Vacation. Oh, before we get into The Cabin in the Woods, do you want to tell us you've been saving your vacation horror story for the pod? So,
guys, I never go anywhere. The last time I went on vacation was 2016, and I remember now why I don't go anywhere. On Sunday, we had Steel City Con here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania,
right?
Which is where nerds gather together and stand in line, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, that is where we go to practice our posture while we're standing in line.
I don't leave the house very often because I have agoraphobia, which if you don't know what that is, it is a fear of situations that could cause panic or helplessness or embarrassment. And I don't particularly enjoy leaving the house. But I went here at the behest of a friend, and I cried and I shook, and I went home. And then, as you might remember from last week, when I said I was going to the beach, I went to the beach also. I woke up Tuesday morning, ready to go to the beach with a migraine, throwing up everywhere.
No.
I know. So I was like taking ibuprofen and Tylenol and Excedrin and then throwing it all back up and then taking more of it. I had ice packs all over my body to cool myself down to get rid of it. And by like 10 a.m., it was gone enough that I could drive the 3 hours. I went to West Virginia, picked up my friend. We went then to, the beach. We get there. We can't get in the hotel because they don't accept check-ins until 4 p.m. So we go to the beach and just walk around fully clothed as you do, It was nice. We went to a lighthouse. I sent Kara a picture.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that you thought of me.
We did that movie, The Lighthouse.
Yeah. Episode number 2.
Aw, was it really number 2?
Yeah, who were those people?
I don't know. They're dead now, so. So
R.I.P.
It's getting dark, and the lighthouse tours were over, so I couldn't get a lighthouse tour, which is fine because I've seen a lighthouse before. Robert Pattinson had to carry all that oil. We've all seen it.
Right.
So then I'm like, it's okay. Let's just hit the pool. So we go in. I'm already terrified because I ordered 1 bed in this room, and we're 2 adult men staying there. So I'm going to get murdered or gay bashed or whatever's going to happen. And we meet the most surly check-in clerk I've ever met in my life.
The most surly check-in? Was it like, did it feel like the setup to a horror movie?
It did. It really did. So the pool was closed. The vending machines were all broken. The gym was closed. The ice buckets were closed. In my hotel room, there were Cheerios all over the floor. There was blood on the sheets and the mattress and the comforter.
What was the hotel called?
Oh, it was La Quinta.
Okay.
You get what you pay for, people.
Is that like a chain? Is that a chain?
Yeah, it's a Wyndham hotel.
Yeah, I grew up going to that town every year.
Mm-hmm.
And for in the summer, and the best places to go are the motels that look shitty but actually aren't.
Next time.
Yeah.
But then so we just like defeatedly sat there. He went to sleep and I watched a 4-hour documentary on the Green River Killer. The next morning, I get my phone's vibrating and I get an alert saying that beaches are closed due to weather. So my goal was like, I wanted to go to the beach. I wanted to look slutty on the beach. I wanted to rent bicycles and ride around. And I wanted to go to the zoo.
Okay.
None of that could be done. So I went to the mall because if you Google Starbucks, it gives you the mall. We went to the mall. Starbucks was gone. They had closed the Starbucks.
Oh no.
Let me tell you. After that, I'm like, we're leaving. So we just drove home for 3 hours. And then I laid on his couch while we watched RuPaul's Drag Race and I moped. I'm still moping right now.
I don't blame you.
And I'm never leaving the house again.
So I went up there last summer to go to the beach on the 4th of July. And what perturbed me was that I don't know if he's still there, but at the time there was a man on your way into the beaches. He was standing on the island and like waving a giant QAnon flag. And
he wasn't there.
This was before the elections though, so I guess maybe he has since,
passed away.
Taken it. Well, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry about your nightmare vacation. Please don't give up on going to the house because now we have to go on our road trip next month.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Chris and I are going to movies, y'all.
Movies.
I'm so excited.
That's how I'll spend the rest of my vacation until Monday. I started right before this, I was watching Escape from New York. Perfect. And this is what I'm doing the rest of the weekend.
Okay. Yeah. Pretty much all I did on my vacation last week was just about the same. Oh, you know what? One more thing before we start talking about this movie. So listeners, I have started a new job. I'm not going to say where, but I will say that at this new job, I have to handle some customer interactions and I get to choose a fake name.
What is it?
I don't know yet. There's so
Anastasia
many
Beaverhausen.
possibilities. Oh, that's good. But I think that it's just a first name. I just have to choose a first name. So,
okay.
And I was just
Violet.
like, yes, because apparently men look for women when they use their real names. So I get to
terrifying.
I know. So I get to, but the upside of that, the upside of men being terrifying and disgusting is that I get to choose a fake name.
Can you pick different ones all the time or are you going to stick with one?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because if I were you, I'd be changing my name every other day.
I'm going to ask tomorrow.
Yeah. Hi there. I'm Tanya. How can I help you? Or hi, I'm Heather. I don't know.
Yeah. That's good, I guess. Yeah, but apparently there are dudes that like, will message customer support and then talk to a woman and then look her up on LinkedIn. So using the place of employ and the person's name.
Yeah.
So they can't do it if my name is Marguerite.
Oh, yeah. Like the lady from that movie with Drew Barrymore. Ever After.
Okay. It's been a while since I've seen that one. That wasn't, I don't think that one struck a chord with me as much.
Watch it again.
Okay. All right. I'll watch it again.
But I haven't seen it since the early 2000s, so.
I think it's on Disney Plus. So, yeah. Hi, Clarence.
Say hi to YouTube.
Okay, so now that we've gotten all of that out of the way, let's talk about The Cabin in the Woods. It's the end of summer, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for children. For us, it's not done.
My summer ended a long time ago.
You're full of like joy today.
Mm-hmm. Summer's been over since 2007, everybody.
I'm not done with crop tops.
Me neither.
I'm not done yet. You cannot make me be done yet. But anyway, Cabin in the Woods. It was big hit in 2012. Right now you can watch it on Peacock for free. You can rent it from the usual places that you rent things, Amazon, YouTube, where the hell ever else. It's a great movie. And we're just going to ignore the fact that Joss Whedon had anything to do with it, just like we ignore the fact that he had anything to do with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and one of the Avengers movies. He never did anything.
No.
We don't know him.
Living in an island with Roman Polanski somewhere.
Right.
Dead to us.
Right. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Chris, do you want to give him a little back of the box description?
Okay, picture it, guys. It's 2012. Summer may be over forever, but just barely. You're going on vacation with your friends and you want to rent a vacation movie, and this qualifies as a vacation movie. So here we go. You pick up this box because it has a really, really cool cover. And it really has a cool cover. You flip it over, it says, 5 friends go on break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods. I looked for the most boring description, apparently.
Listen, that's perfect, because what you need to do, if you haven't already had this movie spoiled for you, which, by the way, spoiler warning, we are going to talk about this movie in depth up to and including the ending. So if you haven't seen this movie, please pause this episode and watch it. And I am going to say that with a hard line this time. If you have not seen this movie, and if you intend to see this movie, even if you don't care about spoilers, listen to me. Pause this episode and watch the movie before you listen to us talk about it. Don't let anyone spoil this movie for you. I know it's almost
easy hour and a half.
I know it's almost 10 years old at this point, but it's so you gotta just figure.
You're not going to expect it. You're not going to be able to. You don't see it coming.
Right. Well, maybe you can't, but like probably not. Especially not random things like cameos and because I still I forgot about that, and like when that happened at the end,
Same. And then I heard their voice.
Yeah,
I heard their voice on the loudspeaker. I'm like, that sounds so familiar.
Yeah. I gasped. I was like, oh my god, right.
If you don't know what we're talking about, stay tuned.
Yeah, or shut the fuck up, go watch the movie.
Yeah, and then come right back.
Right.
We're not going anywhere.
It's gory.
Is it? I gave it like a 1.
It's a 1.
Let me scroll down. Hold on.
The last
I give it a 1
minutes, though. Like the last 15 minutes, though.
I felt like it was all CGI, though, so it didn't count.
I don't know. I think it's still pretty. I mean, for people who don't like gore, gore is gore.
I'll change it.
Okay. So while he's changing that, let's get into some movie facts. So for those of you who do know what the hell we're talking about, the coffee mug bong was fully functional as a coffee mug and bong, and it cost $5,000 to make. Why?
So they didn't want to spend any money on CGI.
But why did they need it? It needed to be functional as a bong? It needed.
I
and
don't
as a
know.
coffee mug?
I would have I would have made it out of toilet paper rolls and silver spray paint.
Right. Yeah. $5,000 feels steep for any bong.
It's only used as a bong in one shot.
Yeah, that's legitimately
and never as a coffee mug.
It's like a joke at the beginning of the movie.
Oh,
no, wait. It becomes important again. Never mind.
It becomes important, but as something else, as neither a coffee mug nor bong.
Right. So, I mean, that's insane. I don't know anybody who would buy a bong for $5,000.
Marty?
Yeah.
During the lake scene, the only person not going in the water is Marty, because at the time of filming, he was more muscular than either of the other male characters, including Thor, and it would have ruined the illusion of him being a scrawny stoner. It's also why he had to wear baggy clothes the whole movie. I don't
Is
know why
that
I wrote the whole
so?
movie because he wore one outfit the entire time. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they
Yeah,
all
he
wore one
was.
outfit the entire
If
time.
you listen to the commentary, they talk about how muscular he was, and he was more built than Chris Hemsworth and the other man whose name escapes me.
I wonder how that felt for Chris Hemsworth.
Probably not good.
Yeah, this is an
I want a
early.
remake of Thor, but I want Marty to play Thor.
I'm into it.
Mm-hmm.
Justice for Marty. Um, yeah, if you don't know this, because we didn't say it, this is an early Chris Hemsworth role. This was pre-Thor, right? This was
Pre-Thor.
pre-Thor. Yeah. And
Post Red Dawn, pre-Thor.
he's a little too serious in it because I think he's really good at being funny. So like I kind of wanted him to be more funny. Now that I know what he's capable of. So anyway, the wolf that Jules makes out with had a tongue covered in powdered sugar to make it look dusty and to make it a slightly better experience for Anna Hutchinson. That scene is the most unwatchable thing in the movie for me.
Yeah, if we can count that as gore, I'd give it a 4, you know?
It is upsetting.
It's so funny, though. I don't know why it's so funny. We'll get to it, because I took detailed notes. The script for this movie was written in 3 days.
That surprises me, to be honest.
They locked themselves in a hotel room and tried to challenge themselves to come up with something amazing.
That's pretty brilliant. That is pretty brilliant. The failed rituals from
we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that. So on the whiteboard of monsters is the name Kevin, which is a reference to Elijah Wood in the movie Sin City.
Oh, which I spelled wrong.
It's okay. I knew who you were talking about.
Speaking of Elijah Wood in Sin City, I was at FYE, which apparently only exists in Erie, Pennsylvania. And they had an action figure of Kevin there that I did not buy, but I thought about it. But I was in such a bad mood that I'm like, I'm not fucking spending any more money.
The opportunity to have an Elijah Wood action figure that isn't Frodo is very enticing to me.
Yeah.
And I could give him a little jar of peanut butter. So Fran Kranz, who is Marty, received extensive prop and behavior training in order to capture the stoner persona of Marty. He received a 2-hour joint rolling session and a separate bong lighting session from expert consultants. Is it that hard?
I can tell you from firsthand experience that no, it's not.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like I picked it up just fine when I was 18 without much help. So
as a child, I needed no help. So
anyway.
Heather Langenkamp, who played Nancy in A Nightmare on Elm Street, served as one of the members of the actual makeup crew that created the different nightmare creatures. Her husband, who I did not write his name down, was a special effects artist, and he played the floating head in that movie, Cabin in the Woods.
Oh. Wait, what? He played the floating head in what?
In the Cabin in the Woods.
Really?
Yeah. There was a lot of facts. I just picked and chose. Picked and choosed?
Picked and choosed. I just realized that I never got a review. So I'm just going to pull up the Letterboxd and I'll pick one live later.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mine's stupid.
I liked it though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to say that phrase a lot in this podcast.
I did think that was super original. The way that was worded.
So funny.
So, all right. So, we're gonna walk through this movie.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Let's walk through this movie.
Let's take a stroll to the cabin in the woods. Just like that. That's it.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. So, at the beginning, there are two men named Gary and Steve, and
They
they're
had
in a break.
names?
Yeah,
I wrote them down as Water Cooler 1 and Water Cooler 2.
I went back and added the names. They're in a break room and they're getting coffee and just kind of shooting the shit. And another agent named Wendy shows up and tells them that Stockholm failed and now it's just them and Japan who are left to do the job. And we don't know what the hell they're talking about. But they, Gary and Steve seem like they don't really care. And they keep saying like, oh, Japan is number one. They've never failed. They're we're number two. And we always try hard. And then they like take off in a little golf cart. And I actually didn't write down what the joke was before the title screen happens, but
something about a betting pool. I don't remember.
Yeah. Then we get the over them, like the blood red Cabin in the Woods title and like some metal music. That lets you know that you are watching a horror film and not a comedy.
Although it's kind of hard to tell the difference at some points.
I mean, it's definitely an effective horror comedy for sure. So after the title sequence, we get to an apartment. Looks like a nice apartment. I don't know where they are, but it's like a nice apartment. There's a girl in the window packing a bag in her underwear. And
full of school books.
Yeah. She finds a sketch of a professor that she had been dating, which is implied from her conversation with her best friend who comes in, Jules.
Fully clothed.
Yeah, fully clothed and blonde. And Dana, the redhead, says, "You're blonde." And yeah. And so Jules says she has to get over the professor because he broke up with her through her email, and that sucks ass. And they're arguing, going back and forth, and Jules is making fun of Dana for putting textbooks in her duffel bag to go to this vacation. And she's saying that there's going to be a boy there named Holden who she is trying to set Dana up with.
It's a very attractive name.
Holden? As in Holden Caulfield.
Oh, never mind. I hated that book.
I loved it, but I don't know if I would love it now if I reread it. But when I was in high school, I loved it. And I don't know. I loved Holden Caulfield. Probably not anymore.
He doesn't hold up.
Jules's boyfriend, Kurt, who is Chris Hemsworth, shows up in the room, and he starts giving Dana advice on what books that she should be reading instead of the textbooks that she's bringing with her, because he says, this is off book for the professor and he'll think that you're much smarter if you do this.
Because Kurt's a very smart sociology major.
Yes.
Which he might not remember in a little bit because he gets less smart as the movie goes on.
Right. But he also notices, he reminds Dana that she's not wearing any pants.
Surprise.
He also makes a big deal of the fact that Jules has dyed her hair blonde, which is important later.
And they also make a funny joke about those anti-drug commercials.
Oh yeah, I learned it from watching you. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really funny.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Thor throws a football out the window.
By accident.
He whenever Kurt walks into the room, he throws a football and yells, "Think fast." And, like us ladies, we just turn to the side and let the football graze past us. And
Indeed.
Holden catches it outside. And just now, Marty's pulling up in his car, which is the actual car from the director, whatever his name was.
Drew Goddard.
Yeah, it was Drew Goddard's car, high school car. And he also would leave the windows rolled down and lock the doors, which is why Marty does it in the movie. But Marty pulls up smoking a bong, like a big ass bong.
Yeah, like I can't make it.
I can't fit in the camera
here
with my hands.
I'm helping. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we put both of our arms together, then you understand. But the other kids are like, what are you doing? Hey, Marty's he's like, hey man, it's cool. And he turns it into like a travel mug, which was the whole $5,000 prop we talked about
Yeah, he
moments
like
ago.
compacts it
Mm-hmm.
into a travel mug.
And the bowl comes out and it becomes the handle. It's ingenious, really.
Right. Yeah, for sure. But so is everything that he does. Marty's my favorite. Marty is for sure my favorite. So after, as they're driving away in their RV, there's a guy on top of the roof wearing an earpiece and saying, the nest is empty or something like that. I can't remember exactly what he says. Something along the lines of like, the nest is empty.
The eagle was landed, but not that.
And then they are driving down, like country roads, and they pull over for gas, and it's like this like decrepit old gas station. And they are trying to get help. They're trying to get the attendants attention, and it turns out to be this like really gross old guy, and this is the grossest part of the movie for me.
Grosser than the wolf.
Nobody wants to see you spitting tobacco. A PSA,
especially when it's running down your face.
So gross.
Is that why they call it chew? Because he was literally chewing it.
I have no idea.
Like running down his face.
Everything about it is disgusting.
Yeah.
I tried it once on a dare, and it went in my lip for about 2 seconds, and then I threw up.
I've done it more than once. I couldn't tell you if it works. I don't like it.
No, it's disgusting. Like, why? How could you possibly enjoy that?
Different strokes for different folks, I guess.
Right. I'm sorry I'm super fidgety if you're watching this on YouTube. I am sitting on the floor, and I'm seeing that I have a glare in my glasses.
Oh, I see it now too.
Yeah. Can you see? Is it us? I can't see if it's us.
I think it's us. People at home, what you're missing out on is us looking inside Kara's glasses to see what we see.
There we are. That's us. Yeah.
Yeah. Very handsome.
Yes. Good looking people. Anyway, so
the gas station attendant is our first jump scare of this movie. I don't know if there's any more. We'll think about it.
Kind of, yeah.
So there was a joke about the war. I don't remember which war, but I thought it was funny, but I didn't write it down enough. So ignore everything I just said. The gas station attendant calls Jules a whore.
Right. He's just being super aggressive. And he says something about he's been here since the war, and Jules says, which war? And he says, you know damn well which war. And Marty like makes fun of him and asks if it was the men in the blue coats, and basically implying that the guy had been there since the Civil War, which is improbable to say the least.
Improbable. Yeah, he didn't look that old.
Right. And he got upset. He was like, you're being real smart mouthed or something. And Marty was like, well, you were disrespectful to my friend. And he says, that whore. Yeah. And
then Kurt takes out a 20 and just throws it at him.
Yeah. He also tells them if that he has enough gas to get them back to the cabin, to get them to the cabin, but getting back, that's their concern.
Really ominous.
Yeah.
But they hop in that RV and they just drive on down, and we get a really cool shot of them going through this mountain tunnel, which is really cool. Like, I want to find this mountain tunnel and drive through it.
Yeah.
But then the camera like is following this bird. It could be a pigeon, could be an eagle. I wasn't paying like that close of attention. It was at least a seagull. And so we're following this bird, and it's flying along majestically, and then it runs into this weird invisible like wall, and then falls to its death.
Like hexagon structures. Yeah, looks like a honeycomb, but
Mm-hmm.
clear and like electrical.
Yeah. And
Um,
apparently it kills birds.
yeah. Uh, and then they get to the cabin.
And it looks just like your standard horror movie cabin.
It looks like the cabin from The Evil Dead.
Yeah, which is why I'm wearing my Evil Dead 2 shirt.
It's really cool. I really like that a lot.
Thanks. I got it from Comic-Con. But I bought it from that Monroeville zombie shop, which I already live next to. So I don't know. Like I could have just went there and got it.
Right. Yeah. I was at the mall recently and thought about going in there, but did not because I didn't the guy was just in there alone and I didn't feel like making conversation,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest. I'll
Well,
go.
I went through their museum the other day. It was pretty cool. And then I went like when I was at Steel City Con, I wanted the other Evil Dead 2 shirt that had like real Ash on it, not just Ash's eyeballs and a skeleton.
Right.
But they were sold out in large and they only had a small. And I'm a very tall person, and I can't do a small. But I
Crop
figured I
top,
can.
hot girl summer.
Yeah. Hot Girl Summer is literally going to be over in like 2 days.
Join me. I'm wearing a bodysuit today, so it's not, yeah. But anyway, yeah, the cabin looks like the cabin from The Evil Dead.
Which is why we were named after some of the campers from The Evil Dead.
That's smart.
Thank you.
Smart. So they all start, they go to their separate rooms, start unpacking. There's like a little bit of a squabble about who's going into what room, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so Holden and Dana have the rooms right next to each other. And Holden sees this huge, creepy painting of like a goat being like gorily beheaded. And he's like, oh, I don't fucking think so, or something like that. And he like goes to remove the painting from the wall and discovers that Dana is on the other side in what appears to be a window, but she appears to be like checking her makeup and like fluffing up her hair. So he deduces that it is a one-way mirror. Or a two-way mirror. What are they called?
Well, in this movie, the director coined the phrase one-way mirror, but I don't think that's a real thing. That was one of the movie facts I didn't put in because I didn't care about it.
Okay.
But I guess it's a two-way mirror.
I have no idea what the real term is, to be honest.
It's a window and a mirror, but only one person can see the window and one person can see the mirror.
So she starts unbuttoning her top and he has an internal moral dilemma. And then he like pounds on the wall and everybody comes in to check out the thing, the mirror, however many ways it is mirror. And
it's like a 3-way poncho, but it's an 8-way mirror.
And then they leave.
Yeah, after Marty says a funny joke about in Pioneer days they had to make their own interrogation rooms.
Oh right, yes, yeah. I know, I love them.
Gold.
I know. Just so Holden offers to switch to make Dana more comfortable, and she puts the painting back up and goes like, yeah, I don't think so. And she takes the painting down and sees Holden like taking off his shirt or whatever, and then she's like, okay, I should put this painting back up, and she puts a blanket over it.
Yeah. And then the camera does this really cool thing where it like retreats back into a surveillance camera that is somewhere inside the cabin. And we get back to the water cooler guys who are, doing their water cooler talk, talking about how pumping in chemicals to increase their libido. Blonde hair dye. Yeah. Blonde hair dyes makes them less smart. And then the gas station clerk calls and he talks like,
this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. It's so because he's talking like very like cryptically and like seriously and trying to make
their blind eyes see nothing of the horrors to come, cleanse them, cleanse this world of their sins. And the Ancient One sees everything.
And the water cooler guys are giggling, and he goes, every like there will be like music swelling up in the background, and then it just cuts, and he's like, "Do you have me on speakerphone?" He's like, oh yeah, I guess I do. Hold on, I'll take it off speakerphone. And then like he starts up again, and they all start like laughing hysterically.
Good times.
It's really good. It's really funny. And then the rest of the employees gather in the control room for a wagering pool on well, we don't really know what this means yet.
We don't know what they're betting on. We just know they're betting on something.
Right. So they're also betting on things that just sound like monster names. And the one water cooler guy is being teased. He's betting on the merman, and he really wants to see the merman, but apparently it's very improbable that the merman is going to happen. So meanwhile, back at the cabin, everybody's personality. What was that?
They're all jumping in the lake.
Yes.
Oh no, or they're playing Truth or Dare now.
Did we miss the part with the lake?
Well, a little bit. We missed a little bit with the lake. They're just jumping in the lake.
Right. It's
Kurt
not that
pushes Julian. Kurt's like, "I'm a handsome man," or something. I forget.
Right.
I don't know. He's so handsome that I don't care how bad his acting is in this.
Do you think it was that bad? I don't think it was that bad.
I don't think it was that bad. It wasn't like, I've seen him do better.
That's true. Yeah. Well, I mean, we've all, maybe not all, but some of us have seen Thor Ragnarok now.
Thor Ragnarok is the best Marvel movie there ever has been.
It's so good. It's so funny.
Cate Blanchett by herself is like so amazing in that movie.
I love her.
Now, I haven't seen the first two Thors. I've only seen the third one.
Okay.
Someday I'll get to the first two, but I heard they weren't as good.
No, Thor Ragnarok is definitely the best of all the Thor movies, hands down. But anyway, now it's nighttime. They're back inside the cabin, and everybody's personality, well, not everybody's, but most people's personalities start to like shift drastically. They're playing Truth or Dare. Jules is being like hypersexual, which isn't usually her. And what's his butt? Kurt. He's being like really jockish. So they're playing Truth or Dare, and Marty dares Jules to make out with the wolf head.
The moose.
Yeah, the moose, but it's actually a wolf. She asks him if he's ever seen a moose.
Jules does this sultry walk over to this moose, and she's like, "Who, me? Why, I just colored it, thank you," or whatever she says.
Yeah.
And she really licks the inside of this wolf head, guys.
It's
like she's licking its tongue, she's licking the roof of his mouth.
Ugh.
It's disturbing.
It is very disturbing. She's like licking the teeth and stuff like that. Like, no.
To be fair, though, I bet they're clean.
Yeah. Well, so since she just did her dare, it's her turn to, inflict the truth or the dare on somebody else. And so she picks Dana, and Kurt says, "Oh, let me cut to the chase here. Truth. Like, if you pick dare, she would dare you to do something that you don't want to do. And then you would say that you really wanted to pick truth. And, so I'm just getting to the point." And Dana gets annoyed by the fact that, he thinks that he has read her. And she says, "Okay, fine, dare." And when she says dare, yeah.
Oh boy.
Cellar door.
Basement.
Yeah. Like a
pops open.
Trap cellar door. Flies open. And so they dare her to go down into the basement.
And she does. And she
has a lantern. And there's a whole bunch of weird stuff. The first thing that we really see is like a bunch of dolls. And then she screams, and everybody comes running after her. And they all come down, and they're all, they get a light turned on, and they're all just sort of like drawn to different objects. Holden is drawn to the music box with the spinning ballerina.
Kurt is drawn to a Cenobite puzzle box.
No, he has the conch shell, right?
Jules.
Oh, wait, yeah.
I have Kurt is trying to solve a Hellraiser puzzle box. Jules is putting on a haunted necklace. Dana finds the book.
Well, first he picks up the conch shell and sets it down.
Which would have been the merman.
Yes, yeah.
Spoiler.
That's why I mentioned it. But you're right. He plays with the puzzle ball. Yeah, Jules has the necklace from the bridal gown, and she is starting to put it over her head. And Marty is trying to get everybody to go upstairs, but eventually he gives in and starts looking through an old film strip. And then they all stop when Dana calls them over to read the diary of the youngest member of the Buckner family.
Anna Patience Buckner.
Who is detailing the heinous crimes of her father. And apparently he was murderous, and
it gave him a husband's bulge.
So take from that what you will.
It means boner.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Yes. So Dana, Marty just keeps saying, like, we shouldn't be reading this. Like, let's put it down. Let's go upstairs. Like, I dare you all to go upstairs.
But then a disembodied voice is saying, read it out loud.
Right. And then especially when Dana comes to Latin.
Which is always a bad idea.
Yeah. And Marty's
to read anything in Latin?
Yeah. Right. Marty says, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that we shouldn't read the fucking Latin out loud. But Dana reads the Latin out loud after the whispering voice tells her to read it out loud. And then we see that the Buckners, the zombified Buckners, rise from the ground.
They do an Evil Dead hand out of the ground.
Hand out of the ground.
It's really cool.
And meanwhile, back at the facility,
we learned that maintenance has won the bet along with Ronald the intern.
Right.
But it's not because the other lady is like, I put zombies. Why didn't I win? And Water Cooler 1 says, okay, you picked zombies, but this is a redneck zombie torture family. And there's a difference.
Right. Yeah. She's upset because she feels like she doesn't know the difference. I
don't know the difference either, really.
The person that we are now referring to as Water Cooler 2 is upset because he was so close to seeing the merman this time. Because Kurt he keeps saying he had the conch in his hands. So that's why I was hammering that point home. I apologize.
And what we might not have mentioned earlier is there's a new security guard kind of person working here. And he was worried that they were cheating in this,
Right.
Because the kids they make a choice of their own free will. They have to choose what's going to happen in the cellar. They work the game as much as they need to, but it's up to the kids to make that choice to go down there. Right. We still don't know what's really going on. But we can tell here at this point in the movie that something is happening to these kids, and these people are the puppeteers of it.
And we're about to see a little bit more of what they can do when Kurt and Jules go into the woods, and they're all affected by the drugs that
because they're like spraying pheromones out of the ground.
Right. Well, first, Jules starts to like undress, and then she says, I'm chilly, and runs away. And so they turn up the heat in the environment. And then they get to like this patch in the grass, and she undresses, and Elwood is taking a plastic bag and running away with it. Sorry about that. The Buckner family attacks, and they stab Jules's hand, and they hold Kurt down and make him watch as one of them cuts Jules's throat with a rusty saw.
And I like how Papa Buckner is using this bear trap on a string to like catch people like a Wonder Woman would.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes. And then when she gets her throat cut, back at the facility, they're very somber. And
they're pulling these like ornate levers that are in the walls. Right. And it's starting to fill up some weird stone slabs with what I'm guessing is blood. It could be Kool-Aid. They never really go into it.
Sorry.
You okay?
Hold on one moment, please. Mm-hmm.
Okay, buddy, it's your big break. What are you going to say?
Sorry, I thought that there was a loud thing happening, but everything's okay.
Clarence had his 5 minutes of fame.
Oh, well, Clarence is the most famous of all.
Mm-hmm.
We pale in comparison to Clarence.
Very pale, thank you.
It's noisy in this living room right now. Yeah. But they're also, when she dies, they say, "This we offer in humility and fear for the blessed peace of your eternal slumber as it ever was."
Amen.
Yeah, we don't even know what that means.
Nope. But back at the cabin, Marty is in bed reading about Little Nemo.
Right.
I don't know. I'm guessing it's a children's book with pictures in it because he said earlier that he wanted to go read a picture book. We can hear somebody talking, but we don't see anybody. There's a disembodied voice of, I'm guessing, Patience Buckner. Anna Patience Buckner. Elwood.
You're a star. You're a celebrity. Say hello. I have my cat on camera right now. Oh, he's done. Yeah. He's done.
However, Anna Patience Buckner, I'm assuming, is somewhere disembodiedly telling him to go for a walk, get out of here, go for a walk. And he's like, no, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I can hear somebody talking. I don't know what's going on, but I think I'm going to go for a walk.
Right.
So he walks past Holden and Dana and informs Dana that Holden has a husband's bulge.
Yeah, while they're making out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he goes outside and he starts to pee. And Patience is starting to stalk him in the background. And Kurt grabs him and throws him back into the house and tells the group that Jules is dead. And the big dad Buckner, I think, Papa Buckner, appears in the doorway and throws Jules' head into the room, and Dana catches it and screams and throws it at the ground. So they push him out and they bar the door, and Kurt comes up with a plan, and he's trying to seal the house against intruders, but then the people in the facility release a gas into the cabin that disorients the group. And Kurt and Holden are now saying that it would be best for everybody to split up, and Marty is going like, what? Like, no. And they're like, we can cover more ground that way.
Very Randy from Scream in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, he knows the rules.
Yeah.
He might not be telling us the rules, but like, he knows what's going on here. But they all split up anyway. And they all go into their separate bedrooms, and then the facility water cooler 1 or 2 lock them all in their rooms.
Right. So Marty goes to close his window, and he knocks over a lamp and breaks it and sees that there's a camera hidden in the lamp. And he finds he traces the feed to the wall, and he stops and thinks that he's on a reality TV show. but he's not. So the technicians are getting prepared to like do something about it, but then the big Papa Buckner again pulls Marty through the window, like comes up behind Marty, pulls him through the window, and
stabs him.
Yeah, we hear.
Oh wait, that's later.
Well, we hear Marty like fighting with him, and then off camera we hear, he drags him away screaming, and then off camera we hear like squishing noise.
Yeah. They pull another lever back at the facility, and more blood flows into a different stone, or red Kool-Aid. And then back at the cabin, Dana is attacked through her window by a Buckner. I don't know if it's Judah. I don't know which one it is.
I think it's Mama Buckner.
Mama Buckner.
Yeah.
But Holden breaks the 1, 2, or 3-way mirror and pulls her through, and they decide to go down to the basement because there's a basement trap door in Holden's room also. And Kurt still can't get in because all the doors are locked. So he tells them, like Holden tells Kurt, hey, find your way down to the basement. They get down there, and Dana informs Holden that they're in the black room that was written about in the diary where Judah killed his victims.
Right.
And poor Holden gets bear trapped in the back.
Yeah.
From bear trap on a string. And while he's being pulled up by Papa Buckner, Dana grabs a crowbar and stabs Papa Buckner through the zombie face into the wall, and then stabs him with a knife over and over again.
Right, because when she first stabs him, nothing happens. Like he's still very much fine. And somebody, one of the water cooler guys, I can't remember which one, but he like sends a shock through the knife handle, so that Dana drops it. And Kurt like kicks open a door, which is another red herring jump scare. And he leads the group outside to the RV, and they go to drive off in the Rambler, failing to notice that there is a handprint on the door.
Yeah, I didn't notice that either.
Meanwhile, one of the water cooler guys, the bald one, he's watching a video from the feed from Japan, and the schoolgirls that were being attacked by like a very traditional looking Japanese horror movie ghost spirit. They're like all joining hands around this spirit and like singing like some sort of song, and they defeat the ghost and reduce her to a little frog, and they say like the evil has been defeated. And they're holding the frog in the hand, and the water cooler number one is going, fuck you, fuck you. Fuck you, fuck you, and you, to all these like children. And
how hard is it to kill a group of 9-year-olds?
Yeah, they're all
apparently
freaking out.
Pretty hard.
Yeah, they're all freaking out because this means that it's on them. Whatever, we don't know what's happening yet, but we know that it's on them. There's 0 fatalities. They have to do this. They have to bring it home. So on the other side of the control panel, water cooler number 2 realizes that the RV is about to go through the mountain tunnel, but the expected cave-in has not happened. The tunnel is open. So water cooler number 1 runs to, I think that the department was like electric.
Something like that.
Yeah. And there's been some kind of glitch or failure or something. And water cooler number 1 runs to the control room and patches the wires at the last second. And while they're halfway through the tunnel, the cave-in starts happening, and they have to reverse the RV out of the tunnel the way that they entered.
How did Kurt do this?
Magic.
Because even driving forward through the tunnel, he was like bouncing off the sides of it.
Right. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he can back up to the entire tunnel, perfect, like full speed.
Survival instinct. I don't know.
I would have just been dead right there.
I'm just going to say it was survival instinct. That's what I choose to think of it as. It was survival instinct.
Well, they get out of the tunnel safe and sound, and there is a ravine. On the other side of the ravine is another like mountain pass that they could almost get to. So Kurt comes up with a plan to grab his dirt bike, which has been on the back of the RV since the beginning of the movie, and he's going to jump this ravine like Fonzie did in Happy Days with the sharks.
I love that that's the reference that you used instead of saying like Evel Knievel.
I couldn't think of Evel Knievel's name.
Like, oh, it's just like when Fonzie jumped all those fucking sharks.
Guys, if you don't know what the phrase "jump the shark" refers to, just Google, and you're in for it.
Right.
But Kurt is going to jump this, whatever it is. I said ravine. I don't know what ravine is. I didn't feel the need to Google it.
That's correct. It's a ravine.
Oh, I'm so smart. So Kurt's going to jump this ravine. Don't worry, he's jumped bigger things than this before. And he wants Holden and Dana to get back in the RV and wait. He's going to come back with cops and guns and whatever else he said he was coming back with. So Kurt turns his dirt bike around. He goes all the way back that road. He's going to make a big, long dash at it. And he revs it up and he lets it rip. And he's going across. He gets some altitude and then he hits the same invisible wall that killed that seagull in the beginning of the movie.
Smacks into it and just like hits it a bunch on the way down, just like tumbling like ba-dum. So we see the hexagon wall and they see it for the first time. And meanwhile, water cooler number 2 pulls the next lever and more blood falls into another stone carving. So Holden and Dana get back in the RV and they drive it towards the cabin. And they're hoping that they'll find another way out. But unfortunately, Papa Buckner was hiding in the Rambler the entire time and stabs Holden through the throat while he's driving.
He doesn't make it.
Yeah, the RV veers off the road and crashes into the lake.
But guess what, guys? There's a party now.
There is a party. And first of all, Dana is struggling. She's like, she gets out of the RV, which is, totally underwater. She swims to the surface. And then in the background, the underground technicians, like that's happening in the background on the screen. And then the people in the facility, they are like talking, and the newer guy that was asking them about like the free will versus like what they can control and stuff like that, he asks how the ritual can be complete when the footage shows that Dana is still alive. And water cooler number 2 explains that the virgin's death is optional, and if she outlives the others and suffers, that's all that matters. So then he's saying like, watching this, I feel bad for her. Like, she's so pure of heart. Like, I'm rooting for this girl. But then he cuts himself off mid sentence and like is all excited because somebody, showed up at the door and brought tequila because they're about to have a party. So meanwhile, in the background, while the people at the facility are having this party, which has like a bunch of jokes and also some cameos from people that you might recognize if you were a Buffy fan. They're like, meanwhile in the background, Dana is fighting one of the zombies, and they're all, the people in the facility are all like having a good time, and they're like talking about like they're hitting on each other, and like they're talking about the one guy makes a joke about like, oh, I'm an intern, am I gonna get overtime bonuses or whatever. And water cooler number 2 is still upset that he didn't get to see the merman.
Yeah.
And
Poor guy.
yeah. And so water cooler number one goes to the demolition team, who's still like pissed off at him for, yelling at them about the tunnel situation. And they keep saying like, it wasn't us. And the delay was caused by a power reroute from upstairs. And that makes water cooler number one clearly very uncomfortable. And at that moment, a red phone starts ringing.
Picture Batman.
Right? Yeah, it is very like Batcave. Mm-hmm. But from across the party, water cooler number one and two, they see each other from across the party, and they just stop, and they tell everybody to shut up, stop partying, whatever. And then the water cooler number two answers the phone, and he says, just like, what do you mean? And then says, he like turns around to look at the monitor and says, which one? So then we go back to the narrative of, the story with the young adults. Mm-hmm. And the Buckner zombie is about to like finish off Dana, but Marty is still alive. Marty's still alive, and he kills it. Like, he stops the zombie with the travel mug bong.
Mm-hmm.
Uses it as a weapon.
It probably is very heavy.
Probably, yeah. That's another thing. Why?
It doesn't seem practical to me.
No.
I don't know.
No.
Dana gets a stick or something and hits Papa Buckner into the water. And then Marty and Dana start running back towards the cabin. Mm-hmm. I thought they were going into the cabin, but they don't. They go into a grave. And Dana's like, why are we going into a grave? And there's a secret door underneath of it. And they go in there, and it's like a hallway kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It's a secret room with a secret elevator underneath it. There's no controls inside the elevator, but Marty thinks he can wire it so it'll go down. And Dana doesn't know if they want to go down, but where else are they going to go? Because they can't get out.
Right.
So they jump into the elevator, and they start going down. In the elevator, which is glass fronted and backed, maybe sides, I don't pay attention very well. We start seeing other things down there. We see a werewolf. We see some sort of ghoul. We see a ballerina girl. And when she turns around, she has no face, just a bunch of teeth. We see a Cenobite. And
an off-brand Cenobite.
Off-brand Cenobite.
Right,
it is like a Hellraiser knockoff holding a puzzle ball.
Right. With like saws sticking out of his face.
I knew his name. Hold
on. Hell Lord.
It was something.
It's not Hell Lord. I think it's Hell Lord.
It's Fornicus, Lord of Bondage and Pain.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, saw blades in his head instead of pins, right. Needles, nails. Why do they call him Nailhead?
Well, and that's not as cool as Pinhead.
It's not as cool.
Did you get a picture with him at the con? You said he was the only one wearing a mask.
He was the only one wearing a mask. I was freaking out so badly that I could not get a picture with anybody. I was too afraid. But I did wave at Doug Bradley. I did wave at Meatloaf. And I then hid the rest of my time there.
Understandable.
Doug Bradley, ladies and gentlemen, was the only person at Comic-Con wearing a face covering that was not a furry.
Thanks, Doug Bradley.
Mm-hmm.
We appreciate you.
Yeah.
We here at Idiot's Guide to Horror salute you in your choices to keep others safe.
Somebody else was wearing a mask, but only in pictures. I forget who she was. She was from A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Was it Monica Keena?
It was Monica Keena.
I love her. She was one of the reasons I wanted to go. I can't imagine what that's like to be a celebrity doing like those photo ops during this time. I would not want to like cozy up to anybody as like, let alone like 80 people like back to back, like nonstop.
Yeah. The line for Robert England was like 2 hours long.
Yeah, that was another one of the reasons I didn't go, is because I could not afford that VIP package. And the only reason I would want to go would be to meet him. And I knew the line was going to be like bonkers.
Yeah. I just sat and I watched the kids costume competition.
Oh,
Bender
I love
won.
that. What was that?
A little kid dressed up as Bender won from Futurama.
That's so cute. Oh my God. Was the guy that has the remote control R2D2 like life-size robot there?
I didn't see him.
Oh, I love that shit. Anyway, so they're going down in this elevator. And when she sees the, what was his name again? Fornicus, Lord of Bondage and Pain. Yeah. She sees him holding the puzzle ball, and she realizes that they, like, the things in the basement were a way of making them choose their own deaths, like how they would die. And she starts like screaming and like beating at the walls of the cube. And then we zoom out to see just like hundreds of monsters and ghosts and other nightmare creatures. And they're each in their own cubes. And meanwhile, in the control room, the girl from the chemistry team explains that her team treated Marty's marijuana to make him more susceptible to their mind control drugs, but they must have missed a stash, and whatever he has been smoking has immunized them. It, like, has made him immune to their influence. So water cooler 1 and 2 find the cube and send it down to the elevator lobby, and there are orders given to kill them both, but Marty first. Meanwhile, a guard comes at them with his gun drawn, like into the elevator. But the zombie which by the way, we totally skipped that there was the zombie that we thought had killed Marty is in the elevator with them. And Marty
He's been dismembered.
Yeah, he says like, oh yeah, I had to dismember that guy with a trowel. So he's like in a puddle on the floor, but his limbs still work because he's a zombie.
Right.
So
the undead.
Yeah. So the zombie arm like grabs the guard's leg just as he's about to shoot and distracts him. And they, kick him around a little bit, and they take his weapons. They take his weapons and the trowel.
Yeah, served us well so far.
Right. So then they step into the elevator lobby, and
we hear a very familiar voice over the loudspeaker,
which we only know right now as the director.
Does she ever have a name?
The director. Yeah.
Way to go.
She speaks to them over like an intercom and saying like, death is inevitable. You're part of something bigger and older than you can ever imagine. Like, please give up. And meanwhile, like a SWAT team is coming at them slowly, and they get into the elevator control booth. And as they get in there, that SWAT team just like starts shooting the hell out of the booth. And they are like hiding underneath the desk. And then Dana sees a big red button that says System Purge. And then she says like, hold on, let me find the direct quote. All right. Yeah. An army of nightmares, huh? Let's get this party started. And she like smashes the System Purge button. And these guys this is just the coolest. I love this part so much. The SWAT team is like in this elevator lobby, and all of the elevator doors open at one time, and all of the caged monsters start flooding out in waves and just slaughtering these security guards.
The next like 15, 20 minutes of this movie is just security guards being murdered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By various monsters. If you have clown fears like me, be careful here.
Yeah, you got 2 scenes of a clown in this movie.
There's a giant cobra.
There's a unicorn.
There's a big old, oh, I love the unicorn. I would want to be killed by the unicorn.
Yeah, that's what I like. If I had to pick, that's what I would go for.
Right. There's like a big old bat. So Dana and Marty are hiding in the control booth, and then the big old bat comes in, and they like jump through a large hole that the bat made by killing someone into a secret tunnel. And
cut to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cut to water cooler 1 and 2. They're still alive. Water cooler number 1 trying to bypass some sort of lockdown on a number pad. I don't know. Science, There's a security guard shooting at zombies coming through the door. He's being overrun. He pulls a grenade. He blows himself up to kill some zombies and to hopefully save the other people. However, it doesn't really work because water cooler number 2 is on the ground. He's blown away in the blast, and crawling towards him is a merman, a majestic whale-like monster of a merman.
Yeah, and he says, "Are you kidding?"
He finally got to see his merman.
Right, but it's the thing that kills him.
It's the thing that kills him.
Yeah.
Water cooler number 1 opens up an escape hatch, and the woman from the chemistry department gets murdered by a bat, maybe a cobra.
It's like big tentacles.
Oh, big tentacles that come down from the ceiling.
Right.
But water cooler 1 gets down to the escape hatch and he starts running, and he runs right into Dana's knife.
Yes. And as he's dying, he says, please kill him. Please kill him, referring to Marty, as he is the only other person there. So somehow Marty and Dana get into the place where all of those stone carvings were being filled with blood. And they see 5 stone carvings, and it's supposed to be like the slasher movie archetypes. So Dana it dawns on her that they were the victims of a sacrifice and they were being punished. And Marty says, for what?
Oh, and then guess who's here, guys? It's the director.
And the director,
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney motherfucking Weaver shows up.
What else is she doing?
For the last 10 minutes of this movie. Like they could only get her for a day.
They couldn't afford her, not with this budget. And
but a $5,000 bong.
Right.
That's fine.
Right.
Maybe if they had cut into their bong budget a little bit, then
they could have got more than 10 minutes of Sigourney Weaver.
We could have more Ripley.
Yeah.
But no.
Ripley. You probably can't see her.
I can't.
Don't worry, I'll bring her over.
Okay, thank you. While he's grabbing Ripley to show us, what a beautiful Funko Pop. Yes.
So Ripley tells them, it's because you're young, you're youth.
Yeah.
That's why they're being sacrificed.
And she illustrates she monologues and she illustrates the archetypes that come from slasher movies, which are
there must be
whore,
5.
Yeah.
The
whore, the athlete, the scholar, the fool, and the virgin. And Dana says me, a virgin, and Sigourney Weaver says, we work with what we've got.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like out of the cast of characters we had, that Kurt could have also been the scholar, since he was like a real smart person. Any of them could have been the athlete.
That's true. That's absolutely true. But they turned Kurt into the athlete.
And they turned Jules into the whore.
Right. Yeah. So she tells them that this is an annual sacrifice, and it's to appease the ancient ones, who are giant gods who used to rule the world, and they sleep beneath the chamber, and they will awaken and destroy the earth if the ritual is not completed. And Marty says, like, maybe the world isn't worth saving, essentially. Mm-hmm. And he's kind of like monologuing about, like, you know, if it meant all of his friends had to die, then like maybe the world doesn't need to be saved. Right. And meanwhile, Dana is being swayed. And in the background, she starts, you know, pointing the gun at Marty. And he's saying to her, like, oh, you know, come on, what are you doing? And she's like, the whole world, Marty. And she is apologizing. And Marty says, like, yeah, me too, because a werewolf comes out of fucking nowhere and attacks her.
She had it coming, though.
Yeah. So there's a bit of a struggle because the gun that was in Dana's hands goes, you know, flying across the floor. And there's a bit of a struggle between Marty and Sigourney Weaver. And eventually
she punches him.
Yeah. Eventually Marty gets the gun and he shoots the werewolf. And then he and Sigourney Weaver fight again. Mm-hmm. And then the little girl zombie shows up and Marty sees her, and like Sigourney Weaver doesn't. I'm just going to keep calling her Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah. Well, she wasn't named. They could have given her a name.
She was the director.
That's hardly a name. It's like the mother in
Mother?
The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My mother. She didn't have a name either.
No, she was just Mother.
So was the mom in The Killing of a Sacred Deer.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Start naming your characters, guys.
It's really lazy. I think we're supposed to think it's innovative when people don't name characters. But I don't. I think that it's lazy. Name your characters. Like in Tenet, the main character's name was just the protagonist, which is lame as hell.
Oh my God. My eyes just almost fell out of my head. I rolled them so hard.
It's just, you know, just come up with a name. It's not that hard. There are many. You don't even have to, it doesn't even have to be one that already exists. You could just make sounds and that could be someone's name.
Like Gwyneth Paltrow did, naming her children. Apple.
Or, you know, Elon Musk and Grimes, whatever the hell that kid's name is.
I can't pronounce it.
It's like an X and then an exponent. Yeah.
That poor kid.
I know. It doesn't even have a shot at being normal. Anyway.
So I'll put this in the notes.
The little girl, the Patience Buckner, she kills the director with a hatchet, and Marty kicks them both off of the ledge of the ritual chamber. And then he crawls over to Dana, who is still suffering from her werewolf wounds. And
would she turn, do you think?
If what's about to happen didn't happen? Probably.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Or do you be bitten on a full moon for that to happen?
I mean, not usually, no. But like usually the werewolves only exist on the full moon, so
right.
I don't know. I don't really know a lot about werewolves, to be honest. That's not my jam usually.
I'll have to ask that guy from Just Shoot Me. Nope, that was David Spade. Who am I thinking of? Remember the time David Spade was a werewolf?
Famed werewolf scholar, David Spade.
I'll put this in the notes.
Well, anyway.
Werewolf scholar David Spade.
Marty lights up a joint and Dana says that she's sorry for almost killing him, and he apologizes for ending the world. And she's like, nah, you're right. Like, it's time for humanity to end, give something else a chance. And the entire structure starts to collapse, and they hold hands and they say, like, it would have been really cool to see the giant evil gods that are about to, you know, start walking the world. And they're like, yeah, that would have been cool. And then we see a huge arm reach up through the facility, bursts out of the cabin at the surface and then slam down, and that's the end of the movie.
Yep. Movie's over.
Movie's over. Hope you liked it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is the time every week when we tell you that you don't have to listen to just us.
Yeah. You can listen to anybody.
You can listen to anybody.
Especially us.
But especially us, please us. But sorry, one moment, please. Anyway, my cat is playing with a little disc that came with this new microphone, and he will not leave me alone. So that was,
who can blame him?
Yeah. So anyway, at this time every week, we like to take a second to give you a couple of reviews from around the internet. So you don't have to form your opinions just on what we're about to say about what we liked. And the functioning title lately has been Other People's Shit. But I don't know if we're going to keep that. But
anyway. We'll keep it for today. Do you want to pick one live on air?
I am currently picking one, but you can go first.
All right. I picked a movie review from Letterboxd from a user named Trin, who gave this movie 4.5 stars. And the review is, he's got a husband's bulge. End review. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's really funny. That's a really funny phrase.
That is really funny. Okay, I've already got one. This is so good.
Okay, good.
Hold on one moment because I just pulled up the wrong thing. Elwood, I don't know what you just stole, but anyway, this is a 4-star review from Rudy, also on Letterboxd, who said, "I wish I was as self-aware as this movie is."
Honestly.
Yeah. So then, after we do that, Bechdel test results, it passes. However,
they talk about hair color. They talk about books.
Yeah.
They talk about marijuana. I don't know.
It's a narrow pass, but it passes.
If they would have named Sigourney Weaver, it would have been a better pass.
She has, I guess she doesn't have like a real name, but
the director is not a name. Go out there and find me somebody named the director.
I'm going to change my name to it.
Fine.
So
then this movie will pass the Bechdel test even more than it already did.
But it does not pass the DuVernay test at all, unfortunately.
No. Is there anybody of color in this movie?
I think that Holden is, but very not like, I don't know.
He had blue eyes.
Yeah. But anyway, also every week we like to imagine that we have been given the keys to remake or reboot the film that we have been covering. And then we determine what we would absolutely keep in because we thought it was flawless. And if we could change something as soon as we get the rights signed over to us, what we would change. So Chris, for you this week, what was flawless?
You don't see this coming. This movie is titled The Cabin in the Woods. So you're expecting it to be like The Lodge or Evil Dead or Cabin Fever. And you're expecting it to be like a wilderness, woodsy horror movie that is like been done before. But what this movie does is it takes you on a ride that if you told me you saw this coming, I do not believe you. I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. It's a really good, like, as far as like meta horror goes, it's great. It's really well done. It's seamless. It's smart. It's funny. It's so funny. Yeah, perfect comedic timing. Also does a really good job of like, it's, like it's a send up of the tropes and the archetypes. But also at the same time, it's handling it with a lot of love and care. Obviously, like this is somebody who really loves the genre that like wrote this and created this. Because, we have to have some humility about what we're doing here. Like as horror movie fans, like we know that like for a lot of things, most of the things that we love, there is a formula. So this has that humility. This has that grace. This has like the sense of humor about it, but it also really clearly loves horror movies very, very much.
It's like it's reminiscent of Scream because of how meta it is. And instead of like walking you through how to survive a horror movie, it's walking you through the jock, the athlete, the whore, you know,
right,
the final girl.
Right.
It's like building on it because they also literally, you can't tell me that Marty is not Randy.
Right. Also, the ending of this movie is fantastic. Because you never ever would think that they would actually end the world. The first time I saw this, I remember thinking that like, they're going to find a way out of it. They're going to, change. And they don't. They just end the world. And I think that that's, like the most humble and the most audacious ending at the same time somehow.
I would have done exactly what they would have done.
Yeah.
Only because like, I don't want to kill my friend. I'd rather just die.
For real. Yeah. I wouldn't kill you.
I wouldn't kill you either. Yeah. But I would sit there next to you as the world ended.
Right. Absolutely. We could talk about, how sad it is that we never got to meet Lindsay Lohan before the ancient evil gods took over the world.
I know, but hey, at least we learned the phrase husband's bulge. What did you like?
The ending. That was, I was sort of tying in my what was flawless. The ending is just, I'm not going to say it blows me away, but I'm impressed with it. I'm very impressed.
Unexpected.
It's unexpected. It's smart. It's funny. It's funny, even if like it's scary and it's kind of sad. It's funny because they're sitting there like getting high and being like, oh, like I wish we could have seen like those ancient gods. That would have been really cool. The comedy also. I thought that the comic timing in this movie was really funny.
It was good.
Really good. Spot on. And it's just really clever. It's just super clever, just all around. The way that it's written. It doesn't really there's no plot holes. It doesn't really miss a beat. It covers everything. It's just a really well-written script, especially for something that was written in 3 fucking days. It's insane.
And no dogs die.
No dogs die.
That moose was already dead.
Yes. Yeah. And it had a good time.
Yeah, it had a great time.
Yeah. So if you could change something, what would it be?
Okay. Unfortunately, this movie did not have a very large budget, and it is more noticeable in the CGI area because some of the CGI is not great, and it always takes me out of a good time when I can say, oh, look at that green screen,
Like with the hexagon and stuff like that. Yeah. When Chris Hemsworth falls to his death and it looks like a Quidditch scene from one of the first Harry Potter movies, it's difficult. It's a little difficult to watch.
It's breaking my immersion.
Yeah. What else?
The dialogue in the beginning of the movie was not believable. People don't talk like they're Gilmore Girls in real life,
I mean,
I think that there are
I was going to say, I think there are people out there. It's been a while since we referenced Gilmore Girls on the pod.
Hi, guys. Welcome to the Gilmore Girls podcast hour.
Yeah. This is now a podcast about Gilmore Girls again.
This week, are we Team Logan or Team Dean? Tune in now to find out.
Still haven't gotten past the 2nd season.
I don't know what you're doing with your life.
Watching horror movies so that I can talk about them with you.
Oh, yeah. Good point. I am watching The Great British Baking Show. I have no time for anything else, which is why I watched this movie 2 hours ago.
We should be talking about that too, because that was my life.
I'm only on Okay, so Netflix only has so many
They have
collections.
collections. Yes,
I'm
I know.
on the second collection right now.
Mhm.
I'm at the semifinals of the second collection.
Um,
Although it keeps trying to play me the most recent collections where Prue is there and I want Mary Berry or nothing.
it's very, I mean, you get used to Prue.
Mm.
Paul
But
Hollywood's still
do I
there.
ever get used to Paul Hollywood because I hate him?
You hate Paul Hollywood?
Hate.
I got used to Paul Hollywood. I don't think I liked him very much at first, but I got used to him.
He's so mean.
Listen, I used to be a baker by trade,
Mm-hmm.
and baking was my hobby. I don't really eat sweets anymore, so I mean, I'll still bake if I had people to give shit to, but I
Right.
don't normally. But that
You know what my
show,
favorite thing about that show?
huh,
It's how they pronounce oregano. It's oregano.
oregano, yeah,
God, that gives me a husband's
aluminium,
bulge every time.
brought it back.
Yeah, that's what I'm good at.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
they say the word's the best, and I'm googling things like what the hell's a biscuit, or like
it's a
you
cookie.
know. Well, now I know, and now I say it all the time, and everyone's getting really annoyed.
I was so impressed earlier that you used the term opera cake.
Oh yeah, they were making opera cakes, and I was like, I can't watch Cabin in the Woods. I have to see whose opera cake is the best.
I would like to, it would be so fun to make an opera cake right now. I need to, okay, so if you're out there, and you're in the Pittsburgh metropolitan area and you would like free baked goods, write to idiotsguide to horror@gmail.com. Tell me what you're allergic to. I need to start baking again. I'll make you an opera cake. Um, but it has to be vegan. Sorry, I'm not buying non-vegan ingredients.
And it's gluten free.
Well, maybe. I mean, I don't care about gluten that much. I can eat flour.
I have a rough time.
I do too, but I don't care. I
It's really
don't care.
hard.
I love bread
I know
so
when I used to go
much.
to Aldi and buy all their gluten free everything.
I live by one of the best French bakeries in the city, like
Mm-hmm.
2 blocks from it. The bread, man, the
I
bread
know.
can't let go. Um,
Where can I get dim sum right now?
Good question. I mean, like I know of a bunch of places out here, but I don't know
Yeah, but I'm
about where
like
you are.
a good 20 minutes away from you.
I know, I know. Anyway, what I would change about the movie.
Found it.
Forgot to, yeah. um, I don't know what I would change, to be honest. I don't think it's like a perfect film. I
Mm-mm.
guess that the dialogue is a little cheesy, but I think that that's part of the whole theme.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the CGI is really not good.
It's not good.
But then again, at the end, like, how real do we need those monsters to be? I guess for any of the gory effects, I do wish that they were practical and that it wasn't CGI blood.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also wish that Dana's character was like a bit more fleshed out because we got like these like disjointed ideas about who she is. Like she slept with a professor. She kind of likes this guy.
I
She's kind of
wanted some closure
bookish.
on the professor.
Yeah, that I don't even
Then
know
why
why
bring it up
we.
at all?
Yeah, I don't even know why we knew that.
I mean, I understand that they were altering her personality with their various gases and hair dyes, whatever was going on, to make her the virgin for this sacrifice. But why bring up the professor at all, other than to like introduce Holden as her would-be love interest?
Well, we don't even like really. I think that okay, yeah, that I would change that. We don't even know enough about her personality before they start gassing them or drugging them or whatever to
Mm-hmm.
know what they're trying to evolve her into and to see whether or not she's actually changing at all or if she's
Right.
actually like responding to the treatments or whatever. So yeah, I would change that because I think everybody else it's pretty noticeable when they start changing.
Mm-hmm.
But with her, you can't tell because we don't know anything about her other than like she's bookish.
Right.
Oh
But
wait,
aren't they
that's
all?
not
Isn't every
yours.
single one of them bookish?
Except for Marty.
Right.
Um, so fun story. I did a pickup order from Target today, And apparently, when you do pickup orders from Target today, they're giving you a free bag of beef jerky, which, like I don't need. But my cat has just discovered it, and he's taken it away.
Well, I'm ordering something right now.
Well, anyway, Idiot's Guide to Gore. You said 2.5.
I revised my 1 to a 2.5.
I'm gonna
That's
say
as high as I'll go.
I'm gonna say 2.5, possible 3, depending on how sensitive you are. Just because, like, that last scene with all the monsters in the elevator lobby, it's literally like there's just blood spilling everywhere and splattering.
Yeah, but I feel like it's just blood. I'm not seeing anything else. Like, I'm not seeing fragments of bone or flesh or like ligaments. It's just a river of blood, like The Shining.
That's true. What's the grossest? Is it like the grossest part is probably the unicorn?
Yeah,
like you actually
that's like
see that
the most
happening.
Visual. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
you see the unicorn impaling the man like 2-3 times.
Right. So I guess I'll go with that. I'll stick with that. That's fine. I get it. So what do you rate it out of 5?
I give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. I don't know what it could have done to make me give it a higher score. It was good. Oh, I know. I would have picked a different monster than the Buckners because I've seen how many cabin movies in the woods featuring an undead zombie like creature. It was paying homage to the Evil Dead, but we could have gone a little bit different.
I too wish that we, maybe I'm just like water cooler number 2 and we should have seen the merman.
Anything else? Not the unicorn, not the ballerina. Give me the Hellraiser
Not
guy.
The ballerina? I think the ballerina.
I thought she was boring.
Oh, okay.
What about the strangers? The guys in
the like fake strangers. Was that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would have been after. Yeah. That would have been good to have like a human element.
A human element. I feel like zombies in the woods is a little overdone.
Right.
Especially by 2011 or 2012.
Yeah, that's fair. I am going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's highly entertaining. Well, it's not maybe, it's not like it's not a treasured classic amongst non-horror fans. It's definitely, I think that it's going to be up there. And already is up there in cult status and like will only grow more so over time. Because it's just it's clever, it's fun, it's like crazy and like kind of goofy and gory and like outlines everything that we love about horror movies and everything that we hate about them at the same time. Because like, every once in a while one of us will like watch a horror movie and I'll just like be sitting there like, fuck, I fucking hate horror movies. Like, why are you doing this to me? Like, you're making me look stupid. But yeah, 4 out of 5 for me. You can tell us what you thought about Idiot's Guide to Horror, about The Cabin in the Woods, what you rated it. You can email us questions, comments, recommendations. You can email those to Idiot's Guide to Horror. Also, drop your baked goods preferences. What the hell? You can follow us on Instagram at Idiot's Guide to Horror, on Twitter at Horror Idiots if you want to.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Twitter isn't a requirement. It's not required reading because there's not much reading to do there. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/horror idiots. And as of today, we have a YouTube channel at Idiot's Guide to Horror. We're going to be posting the links to the YouTube channel since I have checked, it is impossible to find without the link because we have no subscribers. So we're going to have to ask you to smash that like and subscribe button.
Yeah, I couldn't find it until you sent me the link. I Googled real hard.
Yeah. I tried everything in the search bar and we did not come up, and it's because we don't have any subscribers. No one has subscribed. So
well, as of right now, we have 2. I just checked.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm one of them.
Okay.
I am one of them.
Anyway, as usual, please rate our podcast on iTunes and on Apple Podcasts to help other horror movie fans find us. Tell a friend about us. So this is the end of our summer series, but we're keeping summer in our hearts.
Yeah. Forever. Yeah. It'll always be summer. Remember Chris from the beginning of the episode when he said summer died in 2007? Well, that Chris is dead now. It's summer again, guys, forever.
Well, we are about to enter spooky season.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm so excited, and I know that a bunch of you are also as ready as I am for spooky season. I am already wearing a mustard colored top today. I have been thinking about candles all day. I have been thinking about flannels. I have been thinking about the one time of year when all of you who aren't horror movie fans are ready to hang out with me.
I'm already getting the recommendations. I'm already getting the questions on Instagram. People are messaging me and saying, do you have any recommendations for a scary movie or a scary book? I'm like, yes, I do. House of Leaves.
Just wait. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I just recommended that to someone the other day. Just wait. Now that you're doing this, just wait until Halloween rolls around.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to be ignoring all of you so hard. Just go into your bathroom and say Candyman in the mirror 5 times.
Oh, God. Next week, Chris. This time next week. No, we might have to record on another day so that we can go see Candyman on Thursday. Fine with that. Okay. Anyway, we love you guys.
We can take you or leave you. No, I'm kidding.
Chris. Chris, have to keep them here.
They're already here. They love us.
It's not spooky season yet.
Oh, yeah.
We're almost
Go read
there.
House of Leaves.
Prepare yourselves.
Don't try to get an audiobook or a Kindle version. They don't exist. And if they do exist, they're not worth it. Read the real book.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you read House of Leaves, you have to have a hard copy of House of Leaves.
You have to.
Those are the rules. And then also, please email us at Idiot's Guide to Horror if you do read House of Leaves and tell me whether or not you had the nightmares, because it's important for science.
I still have all over body chills thinking about it.
Did you have the nightmares?
I did not have the nightmares. I have nightmares every night, but for other things, I don't think my brain can factor in a second nightmare.
You might be one of the only people that I've ever known that didn't have nightmares from House of Leaves.
I don't know what is so scary. Because the guy I was dating at the time, I'm sitting on the couch, he's watching Jeopardy and I'm reading House of Leaves. And he's like, what's it about? I'm like, it's about a house that's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. He says, that sounds stupid. I'm like, it's so...
Well, no, that's not all that's scary about it, okay?
It is.
We're not going to spoil it.
We're not going to spoil it.
You got to read House of Leaves.
Yeah.
That's where I'm leaving you.
Mm-hmm.
Happy end of summer, everybody. Let's get ready for spooky season. I'm psyched. Yeah. This is my time.
And if your kids are going back to school, we're happy for you.
It's our time. It's our time down here.
Yeah. We all float down here.
Yeah. All right. So we just referenced the Goonies and It. I think that we're in a good space to say good night, everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Bye.